You know that terrifying photo of a giant floating island of trash in the middle of the ocean? Yeah, turns out you've probably never actually seen the real Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Most of those viral images, they're either snapped near the coast or worse, completely photoshopped. The truth is, the actual garbage patch isn't a dense raft of bottles and bags. It's a swirling soup of microplastics and debris, mostly invisible unless you're right on top of it. Not exactly Instagram material, right? But here's where things get really wild. For years, I believed that everyday littering, like tossing a bottle on the street, was the main culprit behind ocean plastic. But when I dug into the science, I found out that's just not true. Littering? It's a drop in the bucket. The real villain is mismanaged waste. Stuff dumped illegally, burned in the open, or flushed straight into rivers by broken waste systems. And get this, nearly 80% of the big plastic floating in that infamous patch comes from the fishing industry. Nets, ropes, gear, stuff lost or dumped at sea. So while we're all feeling guilty about using straws, the real mess is happening way offshore, out of sight and out of mind. Now, let's talk about recycling. I always thought recycling was our golden ticket out of this mess. But globally, less than 10% of plastic actually gets recycled. And most of what leaks into the ocean? It's the stuff nobody can recycle. Multi-layered packaging, films, mixed plastics. The industry knew this for decades. They kept mixing plastics anyway, making recycling almost impossible. So, can we recycle our way out of this? Honestly, no. But that doesn't mean recycling is pointless. It's just not the magic fix we hoped for. We need to recycle better, yes, but more importantly, we need to use less plastic in the first place. Here's the plot twist: microplastics. I used to think most microplastics came from our clothes. Turns out tires are a huge source. Every time you drive, your tires shed tiny plastic particles, up to 2 pounds over their lifetime. And the biggest shocker? Paint. About 40% of paint ends up in the environment, and a third of that is literally plastic. We're basically painting our world with microplastics. So what's the solution? The experts I talk to all agree. We need to make less plastic and make it simpler. Fewer types, fewer chemicals. But that's a tough sell. Oil and chemical companies are banking on plastics for their future. They're fighting hard to keep production high, even as pollution skyrockets. Here's the bottom line. The plastic crisis is way more complicated and way more fixable than we've been led to believe. It's not just about straws or recycling bins. It's about changing the whole system. If you want to see the sources and dive deeper, check the link in the description. And if this blew your mind even a little, hit subscribe for more truth bombs like this.